Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Today we're delving into Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick, a game set in the universe of the Evil Dead franchise. This game was released on June 17, 2003 for the Xbox just a month after its PS2 counterpart. It was published by THQ and developed by Viz Entertainment. What's interesting is that this game holds a special place in my childhood gaming memories. I received it as a going away present from my friend when I was moving away. It was an unexpected horror game gift, especially since I was way too young to play this game. I had never even heard of Evil Dead, but hey, it was free, and I recall not being too fond of this game initially, but over time I have developed a deep appreciation for the first three movies in the Evil Dead franchise. So in the spirit of October, I've decided to take a trip down memory lane and revisit this game. I'll share my thoughts and opinions, and if you have any memories related to this game or anything connected to Evil Dead, feel free to share them in the comments below. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. A Fistful of Boomstick takes place 11 years after Army of Darkness and 3 years after the PlayStation and Dreamcast game Hail to the King. What I love about this game is its commitment to the movie continuity and the main character Ash Williams, who is portrayed by Bruce Campbell himself. The creators of this game have crafted a story that seamlessly fits into the Evil Dead storyline. In the plot, a professor reads from the Necronomicon, unwittingly unleashing Deadites onto the streets of Dearborn, Michigan. As Ash, your mission is to battle the Deadites and close portals to eliminate the threat plaguing the town. The foundation is there for an engaging story, but I must admit that the pacing leaves much to be desired. The game features only a handful of levels, and each one feels stretched to its absolute limit. Most of these levels involve fetch quests, where you must retrieve items or accomplish specific tasks that often take place at opposite ends of the game map. This stretches the gameplay and gives the story a somewhat padded feel. The game also incorporates an Army of Darkness approach by introducing time travel as part of the story. While time travel adds an intriguing element, it comes into play rather late in the game. The initial portion of this game primarily takes place in modern-day Dearborn, which can feel a bit mundane. Introducing the time travel aspect earlier could have diversified the gameplay and maintained a more consistent level of excitement throughout. Fortunately, Bruce Campbell's return to voice Ash is a delightful addition. His performance is as excellent as ever, and while the game's writing may not match the comedic brilliance of the movies, it effectively captures Ash's signature lame jokes. The game carries a comedic edge that seamlessly fits the Evil Dead universe. Ash Williams is undoubtedly the highlight of this game and embodies the entertainment value of the franchise. However, the plot itself feels a bit overstretched and could have benefited from introducing that time travel element so much earlier to mitigate the slower pace in the beginning. It's entertaining, but could have been better structured. Fistful of Boomstick adopts a third-person action approach, allowing you to control Ash as he navigates various sections of Dearborn while battling waves of enemies. The movement mechanics fall into a rather mediocre state. They are neither rigid or fluid. It's functional without presenting any remarkable qualities. The combat system is simple and straightforward. It employs a standard targeting system that allows you to lock on to enemies. You have access to various weapons, including pistols, shotguns, and Ash's signature chainsaw arm, which turns out to be one of the game's standout weapons due to its lack of ammo and its crazy damage output. One notable aspect of this game is the absence of a finite number of enemies. Enemies keep spawning continuously, and you are constantly engaged in combat. While this perpetual combat isn't inherently bad, it becomes quite tiresome when combined with puzzles and the constant backtracking. Backtracking to deliver items often means slowing down to fight off more incoming enemies. There's no escaping, as enemies will surround you and attack from all directions. You can't just run away, you have to stand and fight. The targeting system only functions in one direction, slowing your movement, while enemies maneuver around you. Gameplay often involves getting in a fight where you just hit, retreat a little, and get a better angle and repeat that. It's not the most thrilling experience, but it's functional. The real issue lies in the repetitive gameplay loop, as I mentioned earlier. You primarily collect items to deliver, and that's about it. For instance, consider the second level where you need to gather silver to close portals. To acquire silver, you must save various bikers around town. However, to use the silver, you need to assist a professor in obtaining papers, which must then be translated by another character, requiring a cipher. This back and forth quest design leads to extensive backtracking through confusing levels. Compounded by the absence of a compass and reliance on a simple to-do list, it's a weak setup that fails to engage players. The gameplay primarily involves going back and forth, fighting enemies, and collecting items. While the combat is serviceable, it's not enough to sustain interest over the entire course of the game. The gameplay lacks the necessary hooks to keep players invested, making it less enjoyable overall. Despite the addition of time travel, which adds some variety, the core gameplay loop remains monotonous, with only a few interesting boss fights to break up the routine. I must give credit to the development team for including an arcade mode, which breaks down each level into sections with specific guidelines to follow, such as having low ammo or only having your shovel to use. This game mode adds an element of fun and fast-paced action to the mix. While it doesn't offer a vast amount of content, it serves as a nice diversion that enhances the overall experience. It's worth noting that you need to complete story levels to unlock these arcade challenges though, which provides an incentive for progressing through the game. This feature rewards players and adds a layer of replayability. From a graphical standpoint, Evil Dead: A Fistful of Boomstick falls into the realm of looking fairly average. One of my main gripes lies with Ash's character model. While he appears fine in cutscenes, in-game, his model leaves much to be desired. His face doesn't resemble Bruce Campbell at all, and it comes off as rather distorted. Considering they secured Bruce Campbell for the voice acting, there was a potential for a more accurate portrayal. On the brighter side, the cities and environments are visually pleasing. I appreciate the level of detail in the signs, particularly in the early downtown levels. It manages to avoid feeling entirely copy and pasted and even provides some store variety, even if they're all adult stores. The attention to detail effectively conveys a gritty urban atmosphere. However, I found the layout of the buildings to be somewhat unattractive. While some levels stand out, like the museum with its multiple dioramas, there is a consistent repetition in enemy models. These models don't move particularly well and fail to leave a lasting visual impact. Overall, I'd say it's an average looking game with some commendable environmental details, but it doesn't quite capture the essence of the Evil Dead aesthetic effectively. The voice acting in this game, though, is a strong point. Not only does it feature the iconic Bruce Campbell, but also notable voice actors like Tom Kenny and Phil LaMarr. All of them deliver excellent performances, and Bruce Campbell slides into his role quite comfortably, handling some of the cheesy jokes with ease. However, it's worth noting that the writing in this game can be a bit rough, and there's even a dedicated one-liner button for Ash. Pressing the Y button has him just spouting lines endlessly. While this might induce some eye-rolling, I found it to be a humorous feature. The sound effects in this game are relatively standard, with one notable exception, which is the satisfyingly gruesome sounds when slicing through enemies with your chainsaw. The music, on the other hand, captures the essence of Evil Dead perfectly. It features crazy organ melodies and an eerie Halloween vibe. However, the music cuts are a bit too short, which becomes noticeable as levels are quite long. This leads to repeated loops that can feel less ambient and more repetitive. So while the music itself is good, its impact is somewhat diminished by its brevity and constant looping. In conclusion, it's clear from my review that I didn't really enjoy this game at all. While I appreciated Bruce Campbell's return and found the gameplay to be passable with an okay story, the game's many flaws overshadow these positives. The repetitive back and forth gameplay loop feels torturous and slow. The character models are rough, and overall it's just not a good game. As a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, it pains me to say I cannot recommend this game. And I know this game has a lot of people that love it, so if you happen to be one of those people, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I really love hearing other people's perspectives. After all, every game is somebody's favorite. And on my original Xbox ranking list, Evil Dead ends up at number 54. I would rather play Chronicles of Narnia, but not by much, and Hummer Badlands, I would say, is a worse put together game than Fistful of Boomstick. But that wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more retro Xbox content. And I want to give a very special shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you very much for the support. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.